Rain began to fall in slow, cold drops as gray clouds rolled in like bruises across the sky. The wind picked up, sweeping leaves and twigs across the cracked pavement of a forgotten road winding through the woods. In the back seat of an aging, silver sedan, a German shepherd pressed her nose against the glass, watching the world outside change into something she didn't understand. She had always loved car rides, ears perked up, tail wagging, every turn feeling like a new adventure. But today felt different. Her humans were quiet, tense. No happy voices, no treats in the cup holder. Just the rumble of tires and the occasional sigh from the front seat. Her name was Luna. Just 2 years old, with fur like toasted caramel and eyes that sparkled like amber even in the gloomiest light. She had been loyal from the beginning, the kind of dog that sensed moods before they were spoken. She stayed close when her owner cried, barked joyfully when the children laughed, and never needed to be called twice. But lately, things had been changing. The voices in the house grew louder, angrier. The food in her bowl came less often, and the back door that once led to games of fetch stayed shut. The car slowed, then stopped at the edge of a desolate clearing surrounded by tall pine trees. The wind howled now, bending branches until they groaned under the weight of the storm. Her ears perked up as the driver got out. A man, her owner, with stubble on his chin and tired eyes, walked around to her door. She wagged her tail hesitantly, unsure but hopeful. Maybe this was a walk. Maybe he needed fresh air too. The door opened, and the smell of wet leaves and distant thunder rushed in. Luna stepped out slowly, nose twitching, eyes darting around. Her paws pressed into the cold mud and something inside her bristled. She turned to look back, her eyes locking with the man's. There was something wrong. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't even looking at her. His eyes were blank, almost empty. The door slammed shut. The engine roared. She barked once, then twice, then louder. She ran after the car as it rolled forward, her legs kicking up mud, her heart pounding in confusion. The taillights blurred through the sheets of rain. She chased it until she couldn't see through the downpour, until her paws slipped and her legs ached. And then she stood still, chest heaving, staring down the empty road that had taken her whole world away. She didn't understand. She had done everything right. She had loved them without condition, protected them, waited for them, and now they were gone. Thunder cracked so loud it sounded like the earth had split. Luna flinched and tucked herself near a tree, shivering, as the rain grew heavier. Her fur soaked through in minutes, clinging to her body, her breath coming out in clouds. But she didn't leave the spot. She couldn't. Something deep inside told her this had to be a mistake. Any moment now the car would come back. Her humans would scoop her up in their arms, crying, apologizing, promising it was just a horrible misunderstanding. Hours passed. Then the first night fell. Luna tried to curl under a large tree for shelter, but the storm offered no mercy. Wind howled through the branches and rain pelted her with icy needles. Her belly growled from hunger. Her legs trembled from cold. But still she faced the road, staring into the distance with the quiet, unwavering hope only a dog could carry in their heart, that impossible belief that love doesn't just disappear, that someone somewhere would come back for her. The storm didn't let up for days. Luna wandered in small circles around the clearing, never venturing too far from the spot where the car had left her. She dug shallow holes in the mud to find warmth and drank from puddles when her tongue grew dry. Her beautiful coat turned matted and dull. Her ribs began to show beneath the thinning fur, but she never stopped watching that road, never stopped waiting. On the third night, lightning lit up the sky like a war zone. Trees creaked and cracked, and one finally gave way, crashing down yards away from where she lay. Luna bolted, terrified, her paws slipping as she scrambled for cover beneath a fallen log. Her heart beat wildly, her body shaking not just from fear but from exhaustion and despair. She let out a soft whimper into the darkness, as if calling to someone who might still care, a ghost of a family she still believed in, but no one answered. Morning light filtered through the clouds the next day, dull and gray, but softer than the nights before. Luna lifted her head and squinted into the mist. Every rustle in the trees made her ears twitch. Every bird call made her tail flick in faint recognition. She stood slowly, her legs stiff, her paws raw. Her breath came slow now. Weaker. Still, she limped back to the spot where the car had abandoned her, sat down, waited. That was where a jogger first saw her. A man in his 30s, earbuds in, panting from the effort of his morning run. He noticed the flash of brown in the corner of his eye and turned. What he saw made him stop in his tracks. A dog, soaked and shivering, sitting so perfectly still it looked like she had grown from the earth itself. Her eyes met his for a brief moment, wide and pleading. He pulled out his earbuds. "Hey girl," he said softly, taking a careful step forward. But Luna flinched and backed away, her body low, her eyes full of panic. She didn't understand. He didn't smell like her family. She had trusted the wrong humans before. She didn't know if her heart could take another betrayal. The man didn't chase her. He crouched low and pulled out a granola bar from his jacket pocket, placing it gently on the ground before backing away. Luna stood motionless for a long time, her eyes locked on the spot where the man had been. Her nose twitched. Hunger gnawed at her resolve. Slowly, hesitantly, she limped forward and sniffed the bar. The smell was strange, but her stomach begged for something, anything. She took it in her mouth and retreated under her log. The man watched from a distance. He pulled out his phone. Dialed. "Hi. Yeah. I think I found a stray. She's in bad shape. I don't think she'll last another night in this weather." The morning mist hadn't yet lifted when Luna stirred from her muddy shelter beneath the fallen log. The granola bar she'd eaten the night before still sat heavy in her stomach. A strange, unfamiliar taste, but food nonetheless. It was the first thing she had eaten in days. Her ribs no longer growled as viciously, but the ache remained, deep in her bones, paired with the dull sting of wounds on her paw pads from running through the woods. As her amber eyes opened, the world seemed quieter. The storm had finally passed, leaving behind a soggy silence, broken only by the chirping of cautious birds and the occasional creak of swaying trees. But even in the calm, Luna's eyes darted to the clearing, the spot where her family had left her. Her heart still tugged in that direction, the invisible thread of loyalty refusing to snap. She stood and limped over, paw prints painting the wet ground behind her like a fragile trail of pain and perseverance. She sat again in the same spot, muddy tail curling around her legs, head tilted slightly as if waiting to hear the familiar sound of tires crunching down the road. Her ears twitched at every distant hum, but no one came. Far off down the trail, the jogger from the day before returned. His name was Aiden, a volunteer at a local shelter and a lifelong dog lover. He couldn't sleep the night before. Luna's eyes haunted him, the way she sat still, soaked yet somehow regal, like she was holding on to the last thread of dignity she had. He had called every number he could think of: animal control, rescues, even his sister who worked as a vet tech. But it was a Saturday and help was limited. So he came back, alone with a towel, a leash, and a bag full of boiled chicken. He spotted her before she saw him. There she was again, in the same exact spot, like she hadn't moved an inch from yesterday. He slowed his steps, careful not to make sudden noises. "Hey girl," he called softly, just like before. "I'm back. Got something better than granola today." Luna turned her head. Her eyes met his again, and this time they lingered a second longer. She remembered him. She remembered the bar. But trust didn't come as easily as it once did. It had been shattered by the people she had loved most. Still, her stomach tightened with hunger, and her nose caught the scent drifting on the air. Chicken. Aiden stopped about 20 feet away and crouched down slowly, opening the bag and pulling out a few warm pieces. He didn't toss them. He placed them on the ground and scooted back a few feet. "I won't hurt you," he whispered. "I just want to help." Luna hesitated. Her instinct screamed caution, but her heart, still cracked but not yet closed, whispered curiosity. She took a step forward, then another. Ears down, eyes fixed, on his hands ready to run at the slightest wrong movement. When she reached the food, she didn't gobble it down. She sniffed each piece carefully, then chewed slowly, eyes never leaving Aiden's. It wasn't just about food. It was about watching for betrayal. Aiden sat motionless, letting her control the moment. "You're not just any stray, are you?" he said gently. "You were someone's. You were loved. Or at least you thought you were." Luna's ears twitched at his voice. There was no sharpness in it, no threat. Just warmth. It confused her. She stepped back after eating and stood still. She didn't bolt. That in itself was progress. "I brought something else," Aiden said softly, reaching slowly into his backpack. Luna stiffened, her muscles coiled, but all he pulled out was a towel. He laid it gently on the ground beside him. "If you get tired of sleeping in the mud..." Luna tilted her head. The towel was dry, colorful, and smelled like laundry detergent, something vaguely familiar from her past life. She didn't approach it yet. Not now, but she didn't flee either. Aiden didn't push his luck. He set down a few more chicken pieces, placed a bowl of water beside the towel, and began backing away. "I'll be back again tomorrow," he said, as if speaking to a friend. "We'll go slow." The days that followed were a delicate dance. Aiden returned each morning and evening, never missing a visit. Luna started to wait for him. She still didn't come close, but her ears perked at the sound of his voice. Her tail gave the faintest twitch when he laid down her food. On the 5th day, she licked his hand. Just once. A single, cautious gesture. A bridge beginning to build. On the 6th day, it rained again. Not like before, not a violent storm, but enough to soak through the trees and churn the mud. Aiden arrived later than usual, soaked himself, and found Luna curled on the towel he had brought. She didn't rise when he approached. She looked up at him with tired, trusting eyes. He crouched beside her, gently ran his fingers down her back. She flinched, then leaned into his hand. The dam broke. Her body, once frozen in tension, melted into the touch she had been aching for. "You're ready, aren't you?" Aiden whispered, his voice thick. "Let me take you home." He looped the leash gently around her neck. She didn't resist. She stood, weak but willing, and walked beside him toward the car. Every few steps, she looked back at the clearing, the empty road where she had been left. As if to make sure she was really leaving it behind, Aiden opened the back seat and helped her in, wrapping her in the second towel he'd brought. Luna didn't tremble this time. She lay her head on the seat, eyes wide, breath slow. The car started. The wheels turned, and for the first time since she'd been abandoned, she closed her eyes. The gentle hum of Aiden's car was unlike the stormy winds that had howled through Luna's ears for days. It was calm, rhythmic, almost soothing. Yet, even as she rested on the back seat, wrapped in the towel Aiden had brought, her body remained tense. Her ears stayed alert, listening for every unfamiliar sound. Her golden brown eyes flicked from the car window to the rearview mirror, catching Aiden's eyes once or twice. Each time she looked away quickly. Trust was like a candle flickering in her chest, delicate, easily extinguished. The car ride was short, but to Luna it felt endless. Every bump in the road made her flinch. Every sudden noise, brakes screeching, a car horn in the distance, sent her heart racing. Still, she didn't whimper, she didn't bark. She simply endured, because that's what she'd learned to do. Aiden kept talking to her softly, as if narrating a story just for her ears. "You're safe now, sweetheart. We're almost there. Just hang on a little longer." When they finally pulled into the driveway of Aiden's modest home, Luna didn't move. She simply looked around, scanning the quiet street lined with trees and picket fences. It was a far cry from the chaos of the storm-soaked woods. As Aiden opened the door, she hesitated. Her paws touched the ground like she was stepping onto ice. Her legs wobbled from exhaustion and stress. But Aiden didn't pull or rush her. He crouched down and offered his hand, not for the leash, but for her comfort. "Come on, girl. Let's take the first step together." Inside, the house smelled like wood and soap and faint traces of other dogs. Luna sniffed the air, her nose twitching as she caught the scent of another canine, a golden retriever named Daisy, who had passed away just a year ago. Her scent still lingered on the rug in the living room, in the blanket tossed over the couch. Aiden had never replaced her. He couldn't. The grief was too heavy. But Luna's presence stirred something in that quiet space. A flicker of life. A reason to open the doors again. Aiden led her to the kitchen where he had set out a clean bowl of water and another of soft kibble mixed with pieces of chicken. Luna didn't touch them at first. She stood still, her muscles tight, eyes scanning every corner of the room like she was waiting for the catch. For the moment, it all went wrong again. Aiden knelt beside her. "It's okay, no tricks, just food and water. You can eat when you're ready." That night, Luna slept in a crate Aiden had gently padded with warm blankets. The crate door was left open, and beside it, Aiden lay on the couch, not wanting her to feel alone. Around midnight, he heard a faint rustle and opened one eye to see Luna standing beside him. Her eyes, wide and unsure, met his. She didn't want to be alone. Slowly, cautiously, she placed her head on the edge of the couch and let out a small breath. Aiden reached out and rested his hand on her head. "You're okay, Luna," he whispered. "I've got you." The days that followed were both beautiful and heart-wrenching. Luna began to eat more regularly, though she never devoured her meals. She picked through them carefully, as if still worried each bite might be taken away. She learned the routine of the house. When Aiden made coffee, when the mail arrived, when the sun hit the back porch just right for a nap. But even as her body gained strength, her mind remained fragile. She flinched at loud noises. When Aiden dropped a plate one morning, Luna bolted under the table, shaking so violently that tears welled in Aiden's eyes. He sat on the floor, whispering reassurances until she crept out inch by inch. He began playing classical music during the day, soft piano and strings, to soothe her nerves. She seemed to respond to it, curling up near the speaker as if the notes wrapped her in invisible arms. Aiden began taking her on short walks around the neighborhood. At first, she resisted the leash, sitting firmly on her haunches and refusing to move. But the moment Aiden turned around and started walking without pulling, Luna followed. Always a few steps behind, always watching. They passed children playing in yards, other dogs barking behind fences, people waving hello. Aiden would nod back, never stopping for small talk, his focus entirely on the German Shepherd with the broken past. Then came the day when a neighbor's dog barked and lunged at the gate as they walked by. Luna froze. Her entire body tensed. She dropped to the sidewalk and refused to move. Aiden didn't pull her. He knelt beside her, placing his hand gently on her side. "It's okay," he whispered over and over. It took 10 minutes, but she stood again, trembling but upright. And when she took a step forward, Aiden felt his throat tighten. She was trying, for him. At home, she began to follow him from room to room. Not close, but near enough to feel less alone. If he went to the bedroom, she lay just outside the door. If he cooked, she watched from the edge of the hallway. One evening, Aiden sat on the floor with an old photo album, the pages filled with memories of Daisy. Luna came and sat beside him, her head slowly leaning against his shoulder. He let the tears fall freely. She didn't flinch. She stayed there, her weight a reminder that healing didn't only happen in the heart, it happened in shared silence in moments too soft for words. One night, it stormed again. Rain lashed against the windows, thunder cracked through the sky like a whip. Luna whimpered from her crate, then crawled out and paced the living room, panic returning in waves. Aiden was already up, sitting on the couch. "Come here, Luna," he called softly. She hesitated. The thunder growled again. She bolted, not away but toward him. She leapt onto the couch and curled beside him, burying her face into his chest. He held her close, whispering again and again, "You're safe now. No one's leaving you ever again. That night marked a turning point. Luna didn't just trust Aiden. She began to believe in him. She began to let her guard down piece by piece. And Aiden, once haunted by the loss of Daisy, began to see Luna not just as a dog in need, but as a soul rising from ashes. Two hearts that had been shattered were now helping each other mend. Healing was slow, but it was real. The rain had passed. Morning sunlight filtered through the curtains, casting golden patterns on the wooden floor. It was quiet, but not the kind of silence that felt heavy or lonely. It was peaceful, full of breath, warmth, and presence. On the floor near the couch, Luna stirred in her sleep, her chest rising and falling in steady rhythm. One of her paws twitched in a dream, and a soft whimper escaped her. She was dreaming more often now, not the tremble-filled nightmares that once made her wake in a panic, but softer dreams. Maybe memories. Maybe hope. Aiden watched her from the kitchen, sipping his coffee, one hand resting against the countertop. He no longer saw just the frightened, half-starved German shepherd he had rescued in the storm. He saw Luna, the brave survivor who had slowly, carefully, begun to trust again. Every day she surprised him. With every tentative wag of her tail, with every glance that lingered longer, she stitched herself deeper into the fabric of his life. Their days had formed a quiet rhythm. Aiden worked from home, and Luna stayed close, always within a few feet of him. She didn't need to be touched constantly. She didn't whine or beg for attention, she just wanted to be near. Some mornings she followed him out to the garden where he tended to his tomatoes and herbs. At first she would stand guard by the door, ears up, scanning the fence like a soldier in a war zone. But with time, she began to sit beside him, letting the sun warm her coat. One day, she even rolled onto her side and let the earth cushion her ribs. Aiden had paused mid-watering, smiling down at her. "You trust the world a little more today, huh?" he had whispered. Still, the scars hadn't vanished. They rarely do. Luna flinched when someone knocked on the door. She avoided the sound of crinkling plastic bags. Maybe it reminded her of something from the past. Sometimes, when Aiden left, to run errands even for just an hour, Luna would lie by the door until he returned, ears pressed back, eyes wide with worry. The idea that someone she loved might not come back, that abandonment might strike again, still clung to her like a shadow, but Aiden always came back. And every time he did, he knelt beside her, kissed the top of her head and whispered, "I'm here, Luna. I'm not going anywhere." One weekend, Aiden decided it was time for Luna to experience a place he held dear, the local dog park. Not for the chaos, not for the crowds, but because there was a quiet walking trail around the perimeter, bordered by trees and a small lake. He packed a bag with water, some treats, and Luna's favorite toy, an old plush duck she had taken a liking to. He wasn't sure why she loved it so much. Maybe it reminded her of something comforting, maybe it was just hers. The car ride was smoother this time. Luna sat upright, gazing out the window, her tongue slightly out as the wind teased her ears. Aiden smiled. It was a small thing, but to him, it was monumental. She wasn't trembling. She wasn't hiding. She was watching the world again. At the park, Luna stayed close, her leash slack, but constant. They walked the trail slowly, letting her sniff trees, explore patches of grass, and pause when ducks floated by on the lake. A few other dog owners waved or nodded. Aiden kept his eyes on Luna, his tone calm and reassuring. When a golden doodle barked excitedly near them, Luna froze, her eyes wide, but she didn't bolt. She looked up at Aiden, searching his face. He gave her a nod. "You're okay. I'm right here." She exhaled shakily, then kept walking. Later, they found a quiet bench under a maple tree. Aiden sat down and Luna lay at his feet, her body curved gently beside his shoes. She rested her head on his boot and he ran his fingers through her fur. The breeze played with the leaves, and in that still moment, he realized just how far she'd come. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was living. Back at home, something shifted. It was subtle, but unmistakable. Luna started sleeping in Aiden's room, not on the bed. She seemed to prefer the rug beside it, but she always made sure she was close. She started greeting him at the door with more than just a glance. Her tail now wagged, slow but deliberate, each time a little faster. When Aiden worked at his desk, she sometimes placed her head on his lap, eyes closed, breathing deep. Then one afternoon, the mail carrier rang the bell. Luna barked, not out of fear, but instinct. Aiden came to the door, chuckling softly. "It's okay, girl. Just the mail." He turned to see her sitting upright behind him, tail wagging, chest proud. She looked like a protector now. Not a victim, not a ghost, but a dog with a home. A dog who had claimed her place in the world again. Aiden decided to make it official. He scheduled a vet appointment and had Luna microchipped in his name. While at the clinic, the vet marveled at her transformation. "She looks so much better than when you first brought her in," he said, scratching behind Luna's ears. "You've done a good job." Aiden smiled and glanced at Luna, who was sitting calmly beside him, her eyes now clear and warm. "She did the hard part," he said. "I just gave her the chance." They celebrated her gotcha day quietly, just the two of them. Aiden cooked a small steak, cut it into pieces and placed it beside her usual food. He lit a candle, not for celebration but in quiet memory of where she had been and how far she had come. As Luna ate, he sat across from her on the floor, watching her, heart full. Later that evening, Aiden pulled out an old photo frame that had once held a picture of Daisy. He gently removed the photo, kissed it, and placed it in a keepsake box. Then he slid in a new picture, a shot of Luna from that day at the park, standing proud by the lake, eyes bright, coat shining in the sun. He placed the frame on the mantle, not to replace Daisy, but to honor Luna. She wasn't just the dog he had rescued, she was family now. The crisp morning air held the gentle scent of blooming jasmine and dew-kissed earth. Spring had fully arrived, casting soft golden sunlight across the neighborhood, and with it came a quiet buzz of life. Birds chattering in tree branches, wind chimes, singing from a porch nearby, and children giggling in the distance as they made their way to the park. Inside the cozy little house that now smelled faintly of cedar and dog treats, Luna stirred from her sleep. Her ears twitched at the soft rustle of fabric as Aiden sat up in bed, yawning, stretching his arms to the ceiling. She lifted her head and looked at him, eyes alert but soft, her tail giving a slow thump against the rug. "Morning, girl," Aiden whispered, sliding off the mattress and planting his feet beside her. She leaned into him as he scratched behind her ears. No more fear in her eyes, no more hesitation, just quiet affection. It had been months since that stormy night, the night Luna had been left behind, trembling, soaked, and alone. That version of her, the one shivering in the alleyway with her ribs showing and hope barely flickering in her heart, felt like a distant shadow. The storm hadn't just been outside, it had raged within her. Fear, distrust, the ache of abandonment. But something had shifted, slowly, persistently. The kindness of one man, the consistency of love, the slow rebuilding of trust. It had been like sunlight breaking through after a never-ending downpour. Aiden stood and pulled on his hoodie, already smiling. "You ready?" he asked. Luna stood too, tail wagging with eagerness. She knew the routine now. Saturdays were for something special. Visits to the park, sometimes the lake, sometimes even the cafe that had started putting out a water bowl just for her. But today, Aiden had something different in mind. They walked to the community center. At the edge of the neighborhood, a quaint building with a bright mural on one side depicting dogs, cats, birds, and smiling children. There was a flurry of activity outside. Tents set up, tables arranged with pamphlets, toys, leashes, and bowls of water. It was the first Adopt a Friend Day of the season, and Aiden had volunteered to help. Not just because he believed in second chances, but because he knew, deeply, personally, what those chances could mean. Luna stayed close as Aiden set up his table. She wore a new harness with her name stitched across the chest and a blue bandana tied around her neck. People passed by admiring her, some with smiles, some with cautious curiosity. Children pointed, wanting to pet her. She handled it all, with calm grace, sitting quietly, her eyes scanning but not darting. Her body relaxed. Occasionally she'd lean against Aiden's leg, drawing strength from his presence, but not out of fear, out of connection. One little girl, no older than 5, toddled up with an ice cream cone in one hand and a sticky dog biscuit in the other. Luna sat perfectly still as the girl reached forward with the biscuit, offering it like a sacred treasure. "Doggy hungry?" the girl asked. Luna sniffed the biscuit, then gently took it, careful not to touch the child's fingers. The girl giggled and clapped her hands, and her mother smiled with a grateful nod. "Was she a rescue?" the mother asked Aiden softly. He glanced down at Luna and nodded. "Yeah. Left behind during a storm. I found her shaking in an alley, barely standing. Took weeks before she even let me pet her." The mother looked at Luna again, this time with more reverence. "She looks whole now." "She is," Aiden said. "Took a lot of love. But she's teaching me as much as I've taught her." Throughout the day, Luna became a quiet ambassador for hope. People paused at their booth not just to meet the man who had rescued her, but to witness the proof that healing was possible. A teenage boy, hesitant and withdrawn, asked if Luna had ever been scared of loud noises. "All the time," Aiden replied. "But now she knows she's safe. It took time, but we got there." The boy bent down, petting her gently, a soft smile forming on his lips. "I get scared a lot too," he whispered, as if confiding in her. Luna licked his hand and sat beside him. Later that afternoon, a shelter volunteer approached Aiden. "Would you mind if Luna came with me to visit some of the older dogs?" she asked. "She seems to have a calming effect." Aiden hesitated, then looked at Luna. "What do you think, girl? Want to help some friends?" Luna stood, wagged her tail, and trotted after the volunteer. They walked past kennels, some housing, dogs too anxious to come forward, others barking frantically for attention. But when Luna passed by, something changed. The barking quieted. A few dogs sniffed the air, then sat down. One older Labrador, curled in the corner of his kennel, raised his head and inched closer. Luna stopped, sat in front of him, and stared. They didn't touch. They didn't bark. They just looked at each other for a long time. Then the Labrador laid down again, more relaxed, less tense. The volunteer smiled. "She's special," she said. That evening, Aiden and Luna returned, home both tired but content. They sat on the porch as the sun dipped low in the sky. Luna rested her head on Aiden's lap, sighing softly. The wind blew gently, rustling the trees, but Luna didn't flinch. There was no fear in her eyes, just peace. Aiden stared at the horizon. "You know, Luna," he murmured, "when I found you, I thought I was rescuing you. But really, you saved me too." He thought of the lonely months after Daisy passed, how empty the house had felt, how silence had become his only companion. Luna's arrival had changed all that. Not instantly, not easily, but steadily. Her presence had filled the house with life again, with meaning, with purpose. They went inside as twilight deepened. Luna climbed onto the couch, a new habit Aiden no longer tried to discourage, and curled up against the cushions. Aiden joined her, flipping through a small journal he had kept since adopting her. He read entries from the early days. Luna. Didn't eat today. Still no eye contact, she's trembling again. Then, as the pages turned, the tone changed. Luna wagged her tail. She let me brush her. She barked when I left, but not from fear. He wrote, a final entry. Today, Luna helped other dogs feel safe. The storm within her is finally gone. Outside, the moon rose, casting a soft glow through the windows. Inside, Luna slept peacefully, finally knowing what it meant to be safe, to be loved, and, at long last, to be home. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who loves dogs. Tell us in the comments which city you're watching from. We'd love to know where Luna's story is reaching hearts around the world. Thank you for believing in second chances.